Hi and welcome to The Winning Factor. I'm Alan Aitken, and on this show each week we take a look at some upcoming races in Hong Kong and try to identify an angle to the race that we might look on as a path to finding the winner. Well, Derby Day has arrived, Hong Kong's favourite race, never mind the internationals. This is the race that every owner in Hong Kong wants to win, and every jockey and trainer as well, I might add. It's one of the richest derbies in the world, and it's for 4-year-olds, unlike a lot of derbies elsewhere for the 3-year-olds. Now, that's not going to be one of my races to assess today. You can find all the information you need all over the Hong Kong Jockey Club website. If you're trying to sort out the derby, interviews, videos, all kinds of opinions and views, and I urge you to go and look at what's available there. I'll be looking at a couple of the support races. However, I do have a few statistics to look at as far as the Derby is concerned. Firstly, you'll hear a lot of commentary about who will and won't run the distance, usually with some emphasis on those already proved somewhere in the world at 2,000 metres, or certainly having had experienced it. But you can see on this simple pie chart here, that's overplayed. The red space, well, that's the ones who haven't even run at 2,000 metres before they got to the Derby, and they are the majority of the winners. Barriers are always a talking point as well, and I think they probably should be, given that this is one of the most difficult starting points in Hong Kong, just a 100-metre run to the first turn. So barriers should mean something. Again, this race went to the current 2,000-metre distance in 2000, so it's a relatively small sample still, but what you can see is no wins from gates 1 or 5, but you can also see the market expectations have been strongest about the 3 inside gates, or gates 9 and 10. The so-called horror draw at 14 has punched above its expectations though, with 3 wins. So overall there, you couldn't say that the barrier draw arguments are definitive. If they're good enough, they'll win from a wider gate, and if they're not good enough, then an inside draw isn't going to get them over the line. And finally, let's talk about lead-up form. Now, the majority of Derby winners go into the race as last start winners. If you include horses that ran in the first 3 at their last start, then overwhelmingly they are the winning horses in the Derby. But there's a trick even to that. 3 of the last 4 Derby winners, Romantic Warrior, Sky Darcy and Voyage Bubble, all failed to run a place at their previous start. So it's not as simple as all that. But when we talk about the races where they had their lead-up runs, the classic races are the focus. The horses who ran in the designated preps, the Classic Mile and Classic Cup, but only 2 Derby winners in the last 20 years since the Classic Cup started have won both of them. Another 6 have won 1, and 5 Derby winners have bypassed at least one of those lead-up races. So where does that leave us in 2025? Well, here's the shortcut to save you looking it up. 11 of the 14 runners in this year's Derby did contest either the Classic Mile or Classic Cup. But I'll leave it to you to sort out whether you think that means anything or nothing. I'm going to look for some winners on the support card. And the first race I'm going to take a look at is race 5, where our winning factor is the tempo. A class 3, 1,400 metres, a couple of interesting newcomers, but the race looks centred around Tamara Blitz, who is near a win, last start winner. Amor War Eagle, endeared from the Hot John Size Yard. Mighty Commander has a chance, and I'm going to make a case too for Beauty Viva. For me, the biggest players are Tamara Blitz and Beauty Viva, but more of that in a minute. Not for nothing is the winning factor here the tempo, because of all the races on Sunday's card, this is the one with a real standout angle to it, and that's the tempo. When we look at the map, there is a complete lack of speed. Yes, we do have a leader, Beauty Glory, so the fact that he's the solo front runner might gain him a little bit of support at odds, because most of these get back or miss the start. Even Mighty Commander and Beauty Viva, who I'm mapping here, filling spots just off the leaders, haven't been reliable beginners, so an ability to get into a handy position is going to be absolutely gold in this race. Now, Beauty Viva has yet to earn a single dollar in prize money in his 5 Hong Kong starts, so that doesn't look great on paper. I could show you his last start when he was heavily backed on the dirt. Was a bit slow away, got in behind horses and never really got a look at the race in the home stretch. But instead, I'm going to take you back to a run of his in January over 1,600 metres. So this is race 345. He's in gate 10, pink and dark blue halves, and Andrea Atzeni bounces him out on this occasion, one of the first to begin. The heat map shows us this 1,600 metres was evenly run the first half, and Beauty Viva, he sticks with the lead, doing a little bit of work, still coming across from that wider gate. There's a short breather after the 1,000 metres, but then you see Beauty Viva goes on, takes over the front, and the section from 800 to 400 metres is about 3.5 lengths faster than average, which is hard to sustain, and he can't. He gets swamped in the last 100 metres, but is beaten only 1.5 lengths. And he was swamped by some pretty decent horses too, the likes of Marquin and Mickley, who are running in the Derby. Also there around him is Sky Heart, who's a reserve, and Fast Network, who came out and won impressively at his next run. So plenty of quality around him in defeat there, with circumstances against him. That brings us to Tamara Blitz. He's won 3 races. They've all been 1,400 metres at Sha Tin. And although he's a horse that we generally associate with running on, his most recent run was in a setup like he gets on Sunday, where he was box-seated directly behind the leader in the run. So this is his latest, race 455, gate 7 with whitish colours, orange cap. And Tamara Blitz begins okay, gets a position in the first half dozen. He's caught just a touch wide in the steady first 600 metres, but then slides into the first 4 as the pace picks up after the 800. Now the leader is travelling strongly and he runs away to score impressively, but Tamara Blitz applies himself well and he's comfortably beating the rest of the field. So a sound rather than eye-popping effort in his lead-up there for Tamara Blitz, but he displayed the qualities that we need to see for this race. So the tip in race 5 from me, Tamara Blitz. His winning factor, the tempo. Now that tempo is going to take out of play quite a few of these runners in this race that look to have a good form on paper, but aren't going to be suited. Tamara Blitz, he does have the qualities required for this race, and I think this is his turn to get another win. The other race I'm looking at here is race 8, where our winning factor is a tale of 2 sectionals. This is a Class 3, 1,200 metres, and there will be chances given to Pakistan Legacy, Francis Maynell and Righteous Arian, perhaps even the unbeaten newcomer Nucleazor. But for me, this is about Ryan Moore's mount, Master of My Universe, and the last start Class 4 winner, Ballistic Win. And as luck would have it, they both ran last start over this course and distance on the same day 3 weeks ago. So let's have a look at what they did. Race 469, gate 3, blue colours, and Ballistic Win jumps okay, but Blake Shinner's in no hurry looking for a midfield spot, and that's easy enough to get in a slow first section. Second 400 metres is also comfortable. Ballistic Win is enjoying himself, having no trouble holding his place and coiled up, ready to unleash at the finish. In the stretch, that's what he does. In clear room, building into his finish, getting stronger every stride. The leaders aren't stopping, but Ballistic Win is explosive. Now, he got what you could consider the perfect ride there, but it led to him producing the best last 400 and 200 metre sectionals of the circle races on that day. And that certainly bodes well for him going up in grade. A few hours later, it was Master of My Universe's turn. He's in race 475, gate 5, pink colours, and not the best away. Ryan Moore is in no hurry though. He crosses to the rail at the back of the field and the slowish first split before looking to make up some ground and gets up into a midfield run with a good trip. But if you watch closely, you can see Ryan just niggling, asking the horse to keep up to his work in that faster second 400 metres. That said, he's in front of the eventual winner, Fast Network, makes a run inside him and closes off well, but he just cannot come out best. So 2 horses with good finishes, and this race sets up to help that style. On the map we should have speed from Francis Maynell, who's finally got an inside draw, several others who will be positive, and even if 1 or 2 decide not to go to war for the front, the pace looks genuine. With that extra speed, perhaps Ballistic Wind might not be able to keep as close a position this time. So the challenge for Ben Thompson from gate 1 is to get him building into that big late finish the way that Shin was able to last time. And that's where our comparison of the 2 runs on the same day allows us to get into the weeds a little bit more on how their race shape went. So face value, Ballistic Wind was the fastest last 400 metres, but there are times run individually here by each horse so we can compare, not the leader to leader sectionals we usually look at. And this tells us that Ballistic Wind's own time was slow early, only average mid-race, then a hard sprint to the line. In one way, a race shape like that helps a horse produce a big late section because he spends the first 2/3 of the race just able to balance, breathe and build. With Master of My Universe, we saw more just niggling in mid-race, and here's why. First sectional was also pretty casual, but the pace quickened further out than in the Ballistic Wind race, meaning he has to sustain his effort for longer, and that can take the edge off a finisher's late sectional. And finally, balancing up their efforts in different grades there, Master of My Universe goes from 121 pounds that day up to 127, while Ballistic Wind drops from 132 pounds to 117, so he gets by far the best of the weight changes. But for me, the tip in race 8, Ballistic Wind. His winning factor, a tale of 2 sectionals. It was the worst of times, it was the best of times. Well, it was probably the best of times in both cases. There was merit to both horses last start. But I do think that Ballistic Wind, with the weight changes, he already ran the faster last 400 metres, and I think that gives him an edge. There won't be much between them. Well, that's it from the winning factor this week. Good luck on Sunday. Enjoy the Derby. We'll see you next time.